What's goody, everybody? It's your girl Nat Clark, and we are back with another episode. It's a duo episode again, part 2 of the Nat Clark Show and Humility with Elana LeChay. Elana, how you doing?
Good.
Good,
So,
good. You enjoying your
yeah.
holiday?
Yes. Honestly, yeah. Just good to relax, refresh, and get some things done that I haven't been able to get to. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm just gonna ask you a few questions today. I know we both graduate from the same school, Randolph College. We both study media and culture studies, but we weren't able to talk about your story behind your social media and communications background. So like tell me about like how that came to be as far as like you wanting to get into the degree of media studies at Randolph, but how did that came to be? What was the inspiration behind that?
Yes. So it's honestly a funny and long-winded story. So I originally went into college to study psychology and Spanish to do therapy in English and Spanish. And then
Mm.
I think about later on as I started to study, everybody was like, "You seem like you would do media and culture. You seem like you," and I was like, "What even is that?" And then
Right. Yeah. A lot
they
of people
kept
didn't know what it
explaining.
was.
Yes, I was like,
Randolph. Yeah.
yes, because it was my I think it was my first year, and people were like, "Oh, you seem like you will be exactly perfect for this," and I was like,
Because you talk a
"Okay,
lot.
yeah, I well." And then what was it saying? Oh yeah, and then later on, I started to be like, okay, so I started to do more and more like research on media and culture, and it was like journalism, film, so many different things in one, and I was like, this is
Mhm.
for me. So I was like, I'm doing that one. So midway through,
Yeah.
they were like, you have to declare your major. And I was like, okay. So I went with media and culture. And so that's kind of how it came to be.
Awesome. Awesome.
Mhm.
I remember you telling me before you had like you were on social media a lot growing up, like especially like middle school, high school. So tell me about that journey and how it affected you going into the degree as well.
Yes. So it's honestly funny because I was thinking about it before we got on, and just like one thing that kept coming back to my mind was like, I wish it was as pretty as, oh, I want to do, media and culture, to have a podcast to glorify God and to share love. But it was something in middle school that started with a place that I looked for validation, a place that was like an
Mm.
escape from normal realities of what I was going through at such a young age. And it was something that I use as an escape. And I could also share my spoken word, which I talk a lot about. So I can do a little spoken word snippet after this. And but yes, so for me, it was all about having the most followers. We're doing good morning
Yeah.
posts, share for share. To
Man
be
Crush
honest,
Monday.
yes, Men Crush Monday, Women Crush Wednesday, trying to get all the followers, doing whatever it took to
To
be
be
on top,
honest,
Yes, 2BH, and like it was just a lot. And I was doing all of that. Kick, Snapchat,
I'm about to say
over
like we had like a little era in middle school where like we before iMessage like we had OVO before FaceTime. We had Kick to like have secret group
yes,
chats, and then like we would change the name to like all right,
and
Nat is
have
typing, but I'm not really
colors.
typing.
Yo, I forgot about that. You're like, so are you typing? And then it would
No,
be
I
like,
was
oh,
never
Kick.
typing.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So it
Yeah.
was a whole thing. Ended up having like, so many views on Snapchat, almost like
Mm.
6,000 followers on Instagram. And that was just something I chased after: popularity, identity. And that was where it stemmed from. In around my ninth grade year of high school, a lot
Mm.
of things changed for me physically, and I now live with my other parent. And midway through, this parent was more of like, in person, no social media. Like, what is that about? And it wasn't even I never was really allowed to have a phone anyways until like high school. And before then, I would use other, my friend's phone, my mom's phone, like anybody phone, and using that. So by the time I was in high school, the one parent was like, all of y'all care about social media, music, and this and that. And I was like, no. And I remember watching War Room with,
That's a good movie.
yes, War Room with someone, and it inspired me. And she was in her closet on the ground, like really trying to connect with God and just cry out. in difficult times. And so I was like, okay, I started reading this book, Joyce Meyer, Breaking Bad Habits and Getting Good Habits, something like that. Good habits and breaking bad habits. And in that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to fast. So I went on I think this was one of my first spiritual fasts. I can't remember. I started to do spiritual fasts at a really young age. And I remember praying to God, asking him what he wanted me to give up.
Okay.
And he was like, social media. And I was like, okay, God, like, okay, I'll give up social
Right.
media for a week. Cool. So, anyways, I went into it just with that type of attitude, that type of vibe of like, I can give this up. It's not a big thing for me. And
Right.
so I started to fast. I started to be in a prayer closet. I started to watch sermons. I started to learn more about God. Started to learn more about myself. I started to learn about the lies that I believed over and over growing up that weren't
Mm.
true. I started to really understand so much. And it was like I was also going through a lot. And this was the time where it's like, are you going to choose to run away from God? Or are you going to learn who he is in comparison to what people are saying? So
Yeah.
after that week, I was like, I don't even want social media no more. And so it took me, I think I was off it for a year, 2 years. And then later on in high school, I ended up getting it again and started to just have a different perspective and outlook. And yeah, so I think over the years has changed how I used it. And then fast forward to college when I started to study media and culture more deeply, learning how you can use it and it not use you, or the
Yeah. The
study on
difference.
movies and documentaries. And I started to get a different passion like for it. And now just like learning more about podcasts and God calling me to that. So it's kind of ironic because it was something that I chased after popularity, being known, to it being about God and purpose. And then it ended up starting to be like something really foreign to me. Like, you mean you want me to do a podcast? You mean you want me to show myself? You mean you want, and I feel like it's so funny because yeah, my whole perspective has changed about media and how
Yeah.
people use it and how destructive it can be.
Mhm.
But I've also learned that there are a lot of pros to it and a lot of ways that we can use it and are called to use it as Christians for his glory. So definitely a big journey in the media
Wow.
for me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that. I like that story, and I empathize with it as well because at the same time, it's like we grew up, like I said, young age, just being on social media, Snapchat, Gig, OVO, Facebook, things like that, at a young age, and now we're in our 20s, and it's like, all right, like I've been on social media for over 10 plus years, X amount of time, but at the same time, it's
Literally.
like this isn't my identity. Like I'm just portraying something for the views of others, but at the same time, it's like, all right, is this really me? Like I what I'm showing on online, is this
Yes.
portraying who I am as a person? Because there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of misconceptions about,
Yes.
who we choose to be behind the screen and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. So I think that's crazy. And then I like how you said, like, all right, when you fasted, right, the spiritual fast, like you took time away from social media to find out who you are and how God has been favoring you and how your journey with God has really helped make it stronger rather than pushing you away from him. So I think that's cool too, and that's great. I never heard of a story like that, but like when you just said it and it put into my perspective, it's like, wow, like you really needed that. You needed to get away from being online just so you can get closer to God, and I think that's amazing too. And
Yes.
then at the end of the day, it's like, all right, like when we use social media, when we use these different like media conglomerates, it's like, all right, are we still serving our purpose, like for our journey? Are we still like glorifying God behind, like when we're posting things? That's that's
And
amazing.
yes, because the thing is, I have been a believer. Like I grew up knowing who God is, grew up knowing who Jesus is, the life of Jesus, and why I needed to put my faith in Him, accept Him as my Savior, my Lord and Savior. And so always growing up, I knew about Him. And around 12 is when I like accepted Him into my life and was like, no, I need to make another like a choice.
Mhm.
Later on I started to separate my relationship and with God and who I was in the public or in social media from a young age, because I had a strong prayer life and we always had conversations from morning to midnight about God,
Yeah.
praying and praying before bed and when we wake up, reading the word at church. So it was so interesting to me because he's always been important, but I somehow kept separating them. And then like
Mm.
after that, I was like, okay, I have to bring him with me. And how am I portraying him? I feel like it also comes with the person who's growing, and it takes that realization of like, how am I showing myself online? Because I used to think it was just like okay to like have a private life and then be like, okay, God, you can go here. Like you can be in my bio, but I'm not gonna say anything in my captions. Like it's
Yeah,
just
I'm not
like,
gonna really mention him as much, or
yeah. So
yeah,
then God was checking me. He's like, okay, I love you, but I just want you to check your heart. Like, like, I
yeah,
was like,
yeah, literally.
yeah, or trying to get back, going through really hard things, going through really hard breakups, and having accountability and friends who are like, are you doing okay? I see you're posting some things that are, things I saw as normal. I'm like, oh, I'm good. I'm having a, hot or summer. I'm doing my things. Like, and
Yes.
having people checking up on me and saying, like, hey,
Mhm.
I know your heart. I know, but I don't, but I think you should, double check this post. And so I think also having really supportive people in my life has helped to keep me in line, cuz I used to have a different perspective as well how I portrayed myself, cuz I'm like, I know I love God, I'm praying, I respect myself, but it's like,
Mhm.
what are you truly like? I think the view I had of myself is like different from what God has for me. So it's like, yes, I'm a
Okay.
child of God, and yes, I'm beautiful. I don't have to, like, people will treat you how you like put yourself
How
out
you
there.
address yourself, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that also had a lot to do with identity, because I was like, I want people to see me for who I am. I want people to know I'm a child of God. And want people to respect me and not just look at me for my body. But the things I was putting on there was saying
Mhm.
otherwise. So it's like, I think that also comes with a change. Not that people should disrespect you, but it is something that when you are portraying yourself a certain way or using a specific language, people assume that's what you want. Like, so
Mhm.
yeah, so I think it's a process. So
Yeah. Absolutely. I tell people all the time, it's like what you see is what you get. Like what you see on my, like, I don't know, my Instagram, what I post on like Snap or Twitter, Facebook, whatever. What you see is what you get. Like I try to be
yeah, what you see is what you get.
yeah, like I try to be real as possible. I try to be authentic as possible. I never
Integrity.
want to be two faced. Like, if I say something online, I'm going to say it again in person. Like what I show
Yeah.
online, I'm probably going to represent what I've shown in person, like and online again. So, like,
Yes.
yeah. So I think like, but like you said, some people like they say one thing and then they do the opposite, or they present something online or in whatever media platform, and that's not who they are as a person behind the screen. So
Yes, and
yeah,
it's hard.
it is.
Honestly, it's
Yeah.
hard because it's one of those things where, I'm good at editing, good at putting things together, and I love to see it like as a collage.
Mm.
And it took me, I used to see like, idolize famous people, idolize relationships. It wasn't until I went through a public relationship that was so traumatic. And so online, I would look at my own posts and be like, I never thought I would be that person. Like, I never thought I could live two lives. And it's
Yeah.
almost like it just happened and I didn't even see it happening. So it was so interesting that I would always see that happen. But when I became the person, I had a whole different perspective. And I was like, you never truly know what is happening behind closed doors. And it's not that everything you see is pretend. That's not
Right.
what I'm
Right.
saying. What I'm saying is, I know what it's like to suffer in silence, to not have integrity with my own self, and to
Mm.
portray a different life. And
Mm.
so that's why I have a bigger purpose. And it's like, when I am posting or whatever I post is, I'm always going to share a testimony, especially God
Wow.
was reminding me about high schoolers, because I have a lot of nieces and nephews. And I remember, after Christmas break, what you get, what you get, what
Yeah.
type of shoes you get, and I'm
What kind
like,
of clothes?
yes,
Yeah.
it's pressure because you got something that's really nice, and it's like your parents worked hard for that. Maybe it's
Hmm.
not the
The
name
best
brand one,
thing, but it's good enough.
but
Like,
you got something. But
yeah.
God was like, no, speak to this, because I need you to also share that space, because it's not a lot of people talking about the heart the hard things. And I think what I try to do is share insight of the reality, because it's not a bad thing to post your pictures and say like I'm having fun. Okay.
Right,
But
yeah.
what I think God's like always puts on my mind is like, okay, so what did I teach you in this hard moment? What did I bring you through? And post that too. Like,
Right.
so yeah, it's
Get the full picture,
interesting.
not just parts.
Yeah.
Get the
So
full,
I think
yeah.
that's what he has, different people he calls to use their platform in a different way. Like both of us have podcasts and he's like, okay, Nat, these are the people that I have you reaching. He's like, okay, Lana, these are people I have you reaching, because those are his people in different places. So everybody has a thing that God wants them to say or share. And I think that's always been like something for me. He's like, share what you learn from this, and also
Mhm.
like, okay, share it, but
Yeah.
share what you learn from this. So yeah, I feel like I have like a love hate type of vibe with, like, I have been off Instagram for since probably June
Probably since
2020.
school,
June,
right?
yeah, when we graduated it was May 2024. And I
Mhm.
think that's the last time I've been on social media, like on Instagram by itself.
Yeah.
And I'm just that type of person where it's like,
There's no need for it right now. Yeah.
yeah, and like I do want to get back into it, getting my podcast back up, posting again, and doing things like that. But there is like a time and a place, and you also, if you need time to heal, take your time. Like you don't have
Yeah.
to heal and feel pressured as an influencer or as a person to post your entire life. And I
Exactly.
think I kind of got more private too after some privacy concerns, and I was just like, it's not even worth it to post my every second where I'm at and stuff. It's just like, what is the purpose? I don't know. But
I
I
feel
do,
you.
yeah, I love it.
I get tired of social media too. I run my parents' business page for their insurance, and I
But
like
yes,
making flyers. I like making the designs and things like that. I come to my mom, my dad about ideas and things of that nature. But then it's like I'm running their stuff. That's 2 accounts. I'm running my own stuff, and then my other
no
accounts. So
more
that's like
account.
5 accounts total. That's like at least 5 or 6 accounts total. But I get so tired of social media. Like my screen time is ridiculous. It's like 8 9 hours just off of social media. And then of course I call people. Like I'm on FaceTime. Like my screen time is ridiculous. But I get tired of social media. Don't get me wrong. Now there are times where it's like, yo, like I'm scrolling and I'm getting news
Yes,
and feed about sports or
don't get me
whatever's
wrong. I love
happening.
YouTube. I'll be on a YouTube
Yeah,
short.
YouTube. I love YouTube Shorts,
I love social media. It's
Twitter. I don't
oh
call it
yeah.
X. Twitter. I'll be up there
Yes,
for hours. TikTok. I'll be up there for hours. But it's crazy.
I think
Like
there are pros to it. It's pros
there
to it, and we
there
know.
are.
I think it's like, okay, there are pros,
But then
there are
it's like
cons,
it's
and
brain
we do
rotting.
it for like things that we are trying to pursue. And I feel like it's so hard because it's like you're like, okay, I want to edit for the podcast. I want to
Yeah.
contact people. I want to edit for other
And sometimes
people.
I go up there for ideas. I go up
Yes,
there for ideas, but I
idea.
get sidetracked. So
So it's like I think it's like a balance. It's you have to have a balance because I sometimes be on YouTube and I'll be like, "What time was it?" I'll be like, "Oh,"
right.
I'll be
I
like,
look at the screen time go up. Like
literally, I'm like, "Oh."
it's
So
crazy.
not saying I don't use it, but just yeah, definitely is super interesting.
It is. But like I said, I get tired of social media like almost every day. But at the same time, it's like, all right, like this my piece. Like I'm enjoying a little bit of it.
How
It's
am
just
I
too
doing?
much. It's too much of it. Like you know what I'm
How am
saying. But
I
like you said, you gotta have a balance for sure. All right, tell us about your YouTube channel, Humility with Elana LeChay. Tell us about the mission behind the background. I see you had Melody up there for an episode, which I watched. I thought that was amazing. The Melody, bless her heart. I hope she's doing well. But I saw y'all had an episode there, and as far as and with other people as well. So just tell me about your channel.
Yes, so yes, Melody, we touched on a lot of things in that podcast. We talked about relationships. We talked about them, God, and how he's like uses those to grow us. And there are some times where he will give us clear signs if it's not the relationship or not right now, if it's not honoring him, being the only black woman in her PhD program classes,
Mm,
some of the PhD classes. We talked about at that time it was New Year. It was literally January 1st, 2025. And so we were kind of were reflecting on some things that we wanted to accomplish or just yeah. So I think throughout all of the channel, it's about humility, obviously, but the goal and mission behind it, God really laid it on my heart in a very humbling time. So I always had a vision to have a podcast and to be a motivational speaker
Hmm.
and to do things in that sort. It was in I think 2023 when he gave me the name Humility with Elana LeChay, and I was like Humility with Elana LeChay, and I had like 400 names, and I was researching. I saw people have that name already. They were taken, or it was just
Trademark
something.
or whatever.
And then I kept calling my aunt. I remember I was in Northern Ireland. I was studying abroad and I was at rock bottom. I was at rock bottom. I traveled. I was like, I'm studying abroad. Everything is good. I'm not going to think about nothing. I'm about to graduate when I go back.
Right.
And I was about to go back home. And I was like, I was like, I want to go home. Like, I'm homesick. I don't want to finish this program. I can't. I
You're
was running
tired.
from everything and everything followed me. And I think that was a time where I was checking off boxes, and everything just came back to me at once when I was studying abroad. And I called one of my aunts and I was like, you know what? I was just explaining everything that was going on. And she's like, yeah, that sounds like Pride Before the Fall. And I was like, so I started to do more readings in the word and stuff. And the word that kept coming back to me in my life was humility, humility. And I was like, okay, like I was confused. But I had already fallen. I was on the ground. I was flat on my face. And God was showing me like the only reason you're able to have joy and wake up the next morning after a difficult thing is because of me. The only reason you're able to still like say my name and go to class and have strength is because of me. And so I was like, okay, God, humility with Elana LeChay. I said, I guess I'm gonna teach them about humility. And then he was
Right.
like, no, I'm gonna teach you all about humility. And I was like, and so I think the point of the podcast is to spread light on other people's journeys. My nephew, he's in high school. He was sharing about his theater program at his school, some perspectives that he has on his peers and how they are right now either overlooked or just inspirations that they have. I had a good friend of mine, Natalie, another Natalie. She talked about her testimony in college, how she wasn't a Christian before college and then she was a Christian.
Mm,
She played the guitar, showed her talents.
nice.
I have some more recorded as well. So I have a Christian artist, Jay Busy from Lynchburg. I have one of my older cousins. He was one of the first people to go to the first integrated black school. So just a lot of things to highlight. A friend Janessa, she's an artist, talking about just the art industry, like as a visual artist and what that looks like as a Christian, a black woman. So I think really it's about me letting God show himself through the whole entire thing. And one of them I filmed, I think it was a season that I filmed, and my grandpa had just passed away
Mm.
in November 2024. And I remember filming like right after the funeral with my nephew. And he was asking me, like, Auntie, you have the mics, you have the camera now. Because we always talked about a podcast episode, always. So I had finally got the camera, I finally had the mic. And so when he visited, it just happens to be that it was for a funeral. And I had the podcast and everything set up, and he was like, I want to do the podcast. And I was like, I'm sorry, but like, I literally don't think I have it in me. Like,
Yeah.
we just came from a funeral and stuff. God was like, this is not about you, it's about me. And that's why it's called humility. Really
Mm.
showing my strength, like showing my glory and my strength in your weakness. So when I look at that episode, I'm like, I really filmed that after my grandpa passed away. And I remember telling God after that, if my grandpa passed away, like after that, I'm no more good. And so when I see myself in that podcast during that time, I'm like, wow, I don't know how I did that. And so it goes back to him. So that's the whole point of it, is that who am I? Like, I'm so small, and God's like,
Yeah.
I'm using you. This is not about you anyways. So if you let me use you, then I can do what I need to do.
Wow.
So yeah.
awesome. That's an awesome journey. Wow, humility. I like how like God kept showing you like, all right, you have all these other names, but this is the name that I have designed for your network.
Yes,
I
like I
think
had Sunday podcast. I was like, that's good. Like every Sunday podcast, like Sunday. I don't know.
but just having that, just
No.
having God in your ear and guiding you through the like the whole journey, even before you even decided to like do a podcast or do a channel, like God had it planned out from the beginning, and He's still planning it out for you, like
Yeah.
till this day and further on. So I think that's always good, just having those type of like reminders, and even though like setbacks happen, but you still were able to like give like your audience like the views and like the notoriety that they wanted. Like I think that's amazing too. Like you didn't want to like go in and do a podcast after the passing of your grandfather, but God was like, no, like this is this is your podcast. I named it for you, and you're gonna carry it out and do the episode. Whether you want to or not, you're gonna do it, and like you're gonna feel great that you did it, and you're gonna have that type of that
It's hard.
exposure, just not only for yourself but like for other people too, and for His glory. So that's amazing.
Obedience is one of those things where it's so hard, but for some reason it's so rewarding. Like in the moment, you're like, I'm
I
not
don't
doing
want to
that.
do it.
I am
Yeah,
not
I'm not
doing that.
doing it. Yeah, I'm not doing
Like
it.
I ain't doing that. I'm not. And honestly, all of 2025 and 2024, my whole life, but though like 2024, I think bouncing back after it passed away, and then in 2025, I was just walking and I was like, how am I doing my biggest fear? Like
Mm,
sharing, speaking events, doing poetry after like not doing it for so long because of things that came about, and just stepping into all these biggest fears because when you're walking with God, he shifts everything. He goes before you. And so it looks different when you say yes and you don't want to do it versus when you don't do it and
do
you
it.
say
Yeah.
no. It's just like really, I'm the type of person where I'm like, I don't want to do this and I'll run. Just like when I went, just I've ran so many times, girl. I ended up in some dangerous places, some dangerous situations. Some like obviously he used it for his glory. He saved me and stuff. It's
Hmm.
so much better to just take your time, say yes, and if you do say no, he still can work that out because we're not perfect, and I'll be still saying no sometimes. But
Yeah.
it's like it's a process. But
It
yeah,
is. Took. I'm glad you said like obedience and like fears and stuff, because like it took me 2 years to start the Nat Clark show. Like it took
wow.
me
See, that's
2 years. It took me
yeah.
2 years because I started on August 7th of 2022, but I
Wow.
had the idea when COVID hit in 2020.
Wow. Okay.
Like
Okay.
the idea came to my head, but I was like, I'm gonna focus on school. I'm gonna make money because that's all you could do. I couldn't go to the gym. The gyms were closed, so I had to like do workouts on my own. I had to do like ball handling skill stuff on my own. But I was like, I'm gonna get some bread. I'm gonna make money. And
Mm-hmm.
then like the idea of a podcast came about. I was like, a podcast, like, I love sports. I love talking to people. I did it all throughout high school, interviewing athletes and coaches and things like that. But like a podcast, me with just me, I don't know if I could do this. Like and then
Little on me.
I was like, like I'm already like I like being behind the camera, but I had to get adjusted to it. Like I liked it. I loved it in high school. In high school, man, I had a ball. Like you
Hated it.
ask anybody from my high school when I did the announcements, bruh, you would have thought it was a comedy show because I was just being
I
myself.
really wish I would have seen that.
Like I was just being myself.
I
Whenever
want
a
to hear
rivalry
that.
team played, I had a skit. Like, and I had the best producer, Christiana. I hope she's doing well with her family. But I had the
I
best
wish I would
producer,
have
the
heard
best
that.
teacher. Like, oh my gosh, the announcements, sports talks with.
I
You
would
would
have
love to see me.
heard that.
It's on YouTube. It's still on like
It's on
on
there.
our. It's on YouTube on our Indian River High School YouTube page. I'll send you a few links, but I still got the
I'm
videos.
gonna be. That's
I
wow.
got you. But I love doing that. But when I had the idea of a podcast, it was like, all right, like it's just me talking. Like, am I gonna sound okay? What I
Mm,
talk about, is it gonna be factual? Like, are people gonna go back and like cite my stuff? Like, I'm very analytical. Like, I date
because
stuff
there's
back.
definitely a lot of numbers.
Yeah. So I was just very nervous about it, like especially during COVID. But then, I took 2 years, like I said. during those 2 years, like I had to really think and sit down. I was like, Nat, you have to do this. If you want
Mhm.
to get to where you want to be later down the road, you have to do this now. So that way, like it'll make things easier for you. So I think that was really my calling. And when I started it, I ain't stopped since. Like I took a year off. I took a year off in 2024. I got my master's. And then I was traveling a lot. I was traveling a lot around that time. And I was doing a lot of good things. I was traveling for like I was traveling to conferences. I was networking. I was meeting people. Yeah, I took a couple vacations, so that was fun.
Okay. Threw that in there. So
Yeah.
for you, I'm glad you said that. You got so many good points because for me, the podcast idea came to me far way before I started it, like way before it even
Yeah,
came to be
literally.
online. And I think we had talked about that in the first time. And so what is it for you? Like when you took that year, did you already have
I
episodes
knew I
planned?
knew
Did you
what I
already
wanted
have
to
them
do.
filmed?
Yeah, so I knew what I wanted to do, but I had some malfunctions. That's what really like messed me
Okay.
up cuz the software that I was using, they got bought out. Like I was using like Anchor, and then they got bought
Okay.
out by Riverside, which is what we're using right now, right?
Okay.
But the podcast before was just audio. I wasn't doing video. I didn't start video until last year, 2025. Feel me?
Okay.
And I was like, video. I don't want people seeing my face right now. I want to do audio. That's what
Ah,
happened. But then I was like, all right, now you have to do video. You got to do both. So when I started doing video, I was like, all right, video, we're going to change up the topic a little bit. I haven't done sports debates at the shop in like, it'll be 3 years in like June, July. But I haven't done that.
wow.
I haven't gone to the barber shop and talked with the guys in like in almost 3 years. This year will be 3 years. But when I went to video, I was like, all right, Nat, we're gonna change up the scenery a little bit. We're gonna actually interview athletes. We're gonna talk to athletes.
That
We're gonna
is
talk to people
good.
in sports. So ever since 2025, when I started again, I've been trying to pull in athletes, pull in like I said, people in the sports world and things like that. So and I've been doing it ever since. But
That's
yeah,
good.
I took that year off. I had a plan. I just needed to execute it, and then I did, and I'm still doing it. So I think that was cool. So yeah,
Yes. That's
yeah,
good.
but yeah, I had some malfunctions. Like at first, it was like, all right, I tried recording, this thing didn't work, and then I finally figured it out. But like I said, a year had passed, and I was already doing other stuff. But it still worked out at the end of the day, and I think people enjoy it, and I'm being more creative with it. I'm meeting more people, meeting new people. I still have a lot of people on mind that I want to get up here. It's just some of them are still students. They have other priorities, which I get. But yeah, it's only gonna go up from here.
It's so interesting how when it's so interesting the difference when we do things for ourselves. We on a I can do everything I want. I can get it. We on a like a straight, like just back to
Yeah,
back
straight line. Like
inspiration, motivation. When it's doing it the right way, when we say yes to God, all of a sudden enemy tries to feed fears and lies and
yeah,
malfunctions, and it's just so interesting to me because that's that same thing. It's like when I think that's something that for me is what I was saying in the beginning of how before I was on a ball, like I hit
hmm
6K, I'm posting every day. Good morning post. I'm getting up early, share for share.
man, Coach
And now
Monday.
that right. And now God's like, Elana podcast. And I'm like, waking up tired today. But girl,
hmm
what was that same energy, and so it's like that is the type of like ways that we have to fight against with God and with the word in our minds, because that is something that when there's a purpose, when God calls us for something, there will be things. But if the enemy already got you, he good. Like he's not there's
Yeah,
you're already following his ways. So I think that's even more of confirmation of when we have to really like get in our understanding that it's such a bigger picture and such a bigger purpose when it's for God, and also knowing like nothing can stop it. If there's something that God is saying is gonna be for his glory, well, he gonna make it happen
you gonna make it
regardless.
happen.
He can shut down anything that's not of him because he don't want that.
Right,
But
literally.
and he can also shut down something that is for him if he's like now. this is, I'm done with this season, or this is something I'm not calling you to anymore. And so I think there is a balance, but what I'm saying is, like, if God's calling you for something, he's going to make it to fruition. And I think that's
Mhm.
something I'm continually walking by faith with, because I do think sometimes it can be difficult. Like, I took some time off from the podcast this year of editing, and I was like, so, like, it was just so different for me. I moved, just a lot of things changed, and I was just felt like a failure. And I was like, I'm trying to edit the podcast. I'm trying to get back to it. I'm trying to honor
Yeah.
you, God. I'm trying to. And he was like, just rest in me. Just keep going to church. Keep speaking at these events. Keep sharing my word. This is also important. And so that's why I like how you were saying, you took some time off and you were still doing things, good things, and
Yeah.
relaxing. And then you got back to it. So
Got
it's
back to it.
encouraging because I want to get back into it.
And I think when the time is right, like it'll be right. I think at the end of the day is like when like we have things that we want to do. We have our own plans, but then they like God's gonna like guide us. Like he's gonna guide us
Mhm.
to his plan. And when we put our head down and really just like let him take control, that's all you need right there. Like when we put our trust in him, when we put our heads down, and we like, all right, God, just guide me through this journey, guide me through this season in my life. And that's just something that I've been like really like prioritizing on. It's just like, all right, I know what the things that I want to do. I know there are I know what I want to do, and I know it's not gonna like be like a straight shot. There's gonna be some like turns. There's gonna be some like paths that I'm gonna take, but at the end of the day, it's still God's path. So I
Yeah.
think like, and that's just something that's like really like just been sticking with me. But I'm still like keeping my head down, just doing what I'm supposed to do, and just allowing him to like guide me. So when I really like put my head down and like, all right, got back into the podcast, like God has really just been guiding me at the end of the day. And I think that's just something to really like boast about for real.
That's exciting. So what is it you were saying in the beginning? You were like, this is only gonna help you in the future for
Yeah.
where you want to go and where you want to take off with podcasting and what you're doing. So what is something that you're working towards?
the ultimate goal is to like the ultimate goal is to like work for like a big sports media company.
Ooh,
But
that's
I think at the but that's the goal. Like I want to work for like, Sports Center, ESPN, not Fox Sports because they have a lot of allegations over there. But, sports, yeah, we're not going to talk about that. But Sports Center, ESPN, the NBA network, like things like that, like, I got rejected twice by the NBA network, and that kind of like it took a toll on me. It happened like at the end of September. I didn't get into the fellowship that I wanted and that I've been praying about. And then I didn't get I didn't I went through two interviews as a sports switcher for the live cameras.
okay.
And,
Okay.
yeah, and I didn't get hired for that. So that took a toll on me. But a month before that, I hurt my knee. I had hurt my knee, so I couldn't play basketball. I didn't make overseas. Like all these things was happening within the last like 5 months of out of 2025. This year that just
Mm,
passed. So all
mm-hmm.
these things was happening, and it was like, well, damn, I ain't gonna never leave Virginia. I don't know. Like that's kind of how I felt, at the time. Like I
Yeah.
said, I came back from my internship, applied to a bunch of places.
She's saying.
No interviews, no none of that. I got an interview with the NBA, and I got another interview with them. That didn't go through. I tried out for overseas. They didn't sign me. They signed the 6 foot girl that's a shooter. I'm not 6 foot. I'm 5'7", but I can shoot. But guess what? I wasn't what they were looking for. At the end of the day. So
Mm,
then I hurt my knee. Right. I applied to the fellowship for the NBA. It's like like I said, it's a fellowship. So you weren't getting paid, but in the day you were going through these virtual seminars, and they were talking about the business and things like that. And then they would fly you out for the All-Star game in February. Didn't get that. So all these things that were happening. And then on top of that, I'm applying to a bunch of places. I finally got the experience that I wanted with my internship, and I'm applying to a bunch of places. And guess what? These places aren't reaching back. I'm not getting an interview. I'm still in the same position that I was before I left for the internship. So that kind of took a toll on me, like I said, with the last 5 months. During that time, it was like, all right, like I still have a service. Of course, I'm going to glorify God at the end of the day, but I still have a service to the people who watch this, and that's my podcast. So at the end of the day, I still like reached out to other people, and I still did interviews with them, still like, talk to them, posted things like that. So I still had my priorities, and I still stood by those priorities at the end of the day. And I think, when I still, and I think at the end of the day, like when I kept my head down, I didn't stop the podcast. I didn't let those excuses stop me from doing what I love to do, and
Mm,
that's the podcast. Like, in all of this, and I'm saying all this because it's just a part of the journey. Like, you're gonna have more failures in life than you are gonna have success.
mm.
That's something that my best friend told me, which, he kind of clocked with that. But anyway, you're gonna have more failures than
That's
success,
funny.
and so this is just all part of the journey. Like, you're not gonna get every time, but at the end of the day, you keep trying, you keep praying, you just don't stop. So I'm not gonna stop. My knees getting better. I'm healthier on that end. I can run again. I can jump. It's not 100%.
Okay.
It's not
Okay.
100%, but it's getting better. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
I'm still looking at other places. I still want to try for overseas, but at the end of the day, I'm still gonna do the podcast. I'm still gonna talk to people, hear about their journey, hear about their story, because everybody has a story, and I just want people to have this space and this network to do so. So
That's
yeah.
exciting. That's perfect. And I was talking about that. I made a post on my YouTube. I have two YouTube channels. So on my personal account, I was posting and I was like, Happy New Year. I was like, Happy 2026, New Year, different message than what I've been seeing lately. And it was pretty much a short about how like my vision board is huge. And I mean it's like a whole like
How big are we talking? Because when you say huge, are you talking about one of them like science boards, or are you talking
yes,
about like a
science board.
like that folds in?
It could fold in three ways
Un-
probably. It's huge. I'm looking at it right now and it's really big. So it wouldn't even fit on the screen if I brought it over here. So I'm not gonna go through that trouble. I
Wow.
maybe
Okay, that's
post
good
it.
though. Like that's tough.
So, but what I'm saying is, I made that vision board in 2025, and I almost started to trip because I started to see reality on YouTube, on
Mm,
whatever. Like, what was on my vision board? What came true? And it was like all the people posting that. And so I will wake up every morning. This is what I first see. It's huge. And I started to be
right.
like,
My mom
what
does
did
the
I
same
do in
thing.
2025?
Yeah, my
So it's
mom
like,
has her vision board in her bathroom. So when you wake up in the morning, you go to the bathroom. She has it right there in her bathroom. So
yes. And
that's
I was
that's
like,
funny. Yeah.
I started to trip and I opened my eyes. I'm like, what did I do in 2025? What did I do in 2025? It started to haunt me. And
Mm,
one morning I woke up. I kid you not, it was like 6:20 something a.m. And I talked all about this on there. So y'all can check it out at Elana LeChay. But it was a whole thing of like, God was like, no. And he gave me this whole realization that I saw, kept seeing. I have the word dwell, and it's like a cross, and that's on the top of my board in the middle. And
okay.
he was like, "You did accomplish that," and that's the one main thing. Like, of course, like I'm not saying vision boards are bad. It's not a bad thing. But what I was recommending for everyone is this year or every single year, every single moment. Yes, make that vision board, but you need to pray over and say, God, what is it that you want from me right now? Because
Yeah,
I almost started to be like, I didn't accomplish anything. And it's like, no, you actually did. You
you're
accomplished the
doing
main
more.
thing. And so it's like what you were saying, there were so many things that you were trying, applying, trying to figure out everything. And same thing, I was just like, why is my stuff
I
not happening?
know.
It's not a bad thing. Like, God, I'm coming to you and I'm applying. So why is this not lining up? And it's like, but what you did, you can reflect on all these things and be like, whoa, you said you like it's something to boast about because you still did the podcast, told everybody stories, you were faithful to what he told you to do. And all of like following him is actually what as Christians what we are supposed to do. So it's
Right.
like that's his plans. And they be whatever we accomplish with him be so much more rewarding than when we do stuff our own way.
It
Because
do.
going our own way is actually dangerous. Like
It
for
is.
real. And like it might look pretty in the moment, but it's just so dishonoring. So
Mhm.
it's like, do you want glory from the world or God?
Right.
And so it's just encouraging that you said that because I almost started to trip about that year, and now I'm like, nah, okay. There's a few things that He allowed me to do, but there are a lot of things that He allowed me to do for His glory, and it was better than mine.
I can't allow the last 4 or 5 months of last year dictate the whole year of 2025, because the first like I said, the first like 6 7 months of 2025, I was home January, February, left for my internship in March. All right, I'm traveling all throughout March and April. to like different tournaments, helping the media. Me and my communications partner, we did the media content for those tournaments. You know what I'm saying? I'm having fun. I'm on the golf cart. We shooting
Oh,
videos. We're keeping track of our players. You know what I'm saying? I'm learning about golf, a sport that's
fun.
not really up my alley, but at the same time, I was having fun with my coworkers who are now my friends for life. You
And
know,
the
I was doing all that.
experience.
Yeah, it was the experience. Like I said, we traveled. We went to Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, New York. We went bar hopping in New York. We went to
And it
Ohio.
helps you. It helps
Yes,
you.
so I did all that, gained that experience, came home in May, started training for overseas again, all throughout May, all throughout June. What did I do in June? Did I go on vacation? No, I didn't go on vacation till later. Okay, so all throughout May, all throughout June, went to Vegas in July. And I tried out. I didn't make it, but I also had fun in Vegas because me and my dad and his girlfriend took a trip to Vegas, and we went to like the casinos and the strip or
Uh,
whatever. So that was fun. Went on had my birthday. Went to Cancun. That was fun. Then I got hurt. So, but at the end of the day, it's like, all right, I got hurt and then everything else spiraled. But like, guess what? Like I said, the first 6, 7 months, like I was doing what I was supposed to do. Like I was still giving God the glory. I was living out. I was doing an internship, a paid one, and I was traveling as a
right.
as a sports communications
Right.
person.
That
Like
is
this is something that
cute.
I've been wanting to do since I was like really really young, and the fact that I was able to achieve that part of my dream. Of course I wanted to be bigger, but I was still able to achieve that dream to travel the world talking about sports.
Yes,
Come
and
on
it's
now.
social
Like
media. We
I
like
yes, I
this makes
accomplished those things and I can't let the whatever happened after like dictate that. Like, you know what I'm
right.
saying? So
It's all about perspective. It's all about perspective. Like it's literally all about perspective because that is so true. There's so many things that I would try to check off the list and was still unfulfilled versus
mhm.
like really reflecting on
Look at all
what.
you did.
Yes, like I
Yeah.
like what you were saying. I prayed for this since I was like 6 years old, and I
Right.
did this. But now, since we're older, we have so many things we want to do. We're like, but I didn't do that. But it's like, but how did I? I was faithful. I answered your question. Like you know, it's like you start to shift. Like, okay, is my family healthy? How's my
Right.
like? How's my health? What am I feeding myself? What am I listening to? It's like,
Like those little things we're taking for granted. It's like I'm still alive. I'm still like healthy. I can walk, even though my knee was hurting. I can walk. I can talk. I can eat. I just can't run. I can't hoop. Okay, whoop de doo. That happens. You get injured. You know what I'm saying? But like I see my brother graduate. You know what I'm saying? He's
oh,
been working towards his degree for a medical assistant.
like,
I saw him graduate. He accomplished that. My dad's business did over $1 million for the year. He did
wow,
that. My mom, her business is doing good. You know what I'm saying? My nana was able to get a new car. My uncle got a new car. My
that's
dad got a new car. Like all these things. Shoot, my uncle had a new baby at the beginning of the year of last year. So all of these
we
things that
have
are
to count
happening,
these.
like these are all blessings from God at the end of the day. And so what if things don't go our way? We still have to like look at like, all right, look at what you've accomplished. Look at what God has really brought you from. You were here. You were at the bottom and now you're moving your way up. So like I said, I just can't let we let little things dictate our behavior and our mindset. If it wasn't for us at that time, then it just wasn't for us. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
perspective. It's like you said, it's literally about perspective at the end of the day. So
that's
yeah,
exciting. I love that. But yeah, it is.
it's
It's about counting
perspective.
the little things, really, because the little things are big and huge. It's like that song. It's
Mhm.
like I got miracles on miracles, a million little miracles, and he's like I can't even count them all
Oh,
because it's so true, so
yes,
true. But yeah,
absolutely. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we're almost out of time?
well, I would say I was gonna do my spoken word, but I think that maybe they can check it out on YouTube. Or should I
Check
do
it
it right
on.
now?
If you want to, if you want to do it right now, you go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay. So let's see how much I can remember. The garden. The garden. How did we get here? As a kid, I knew that God was powerful and holy. How I am weak and he is strong. How he had the whole wide world in his hands. Yet the true and perfect love I didn't quite understand. I spent many years drinking water from a well only to become thirsty again and again,
Hmm.
not realizing it's a decision I had to make from within. I was like a hamster on a wheel, babysitting my sin. And then the Holy Spirit stopped me in my tracks, inviting me to repent. I was searching for validation from the world and men. My thoughts all over the place, and I felt so icky within. Popularity at school came to an end. I started to isolate and stay in bed past noon. Depressive thoughts crept in, and I almost took my life too soon. Had no desire to wake up to see another day, afraid of the extreme panic attacks that I would face, until the Holy Spirit met me in the darkest place. Llévame, primer amor, cuando era tú y yo, donde nada más importaba. Take me, first love, when it was you and I, where nothing else mattered. Bandawani Sekai, I have no one but you. You are the Lord of Lords. You are the King of Kings. We can come to you with our prayer, with our petition, with our thanksgiving, stated in your word in Philippians 4. The garden.
Hey,
So that is what I can remember. So
okay.
I think I skipped like a part, like the garden you say? But yeah. So yeah, y'all can check out the full version on my YouTube at Elana LeChay. And but yeah, so I wrote that for an event. It was actually called The Garden, and it was about reflecting and going back to that intimate place where we were with God. And through that time was so wild because I was stepping back into a fear of mine, or something that was super difficult for me. And I did it for Yahweh Night. We performed at UVA. And in that time frame, I was like, I was signing up to do like a word of encouragement, because God
Yeah.
was giving me all these words. I kid you not, like in my notes, I would be passing places and just he would be like, say this, say that, say this, say that. And I was like, I was just gonna be singing. Like I was singing, I was good, I was
Yeah.
chilling. But when he started giving me words, I was like, I'm singing. Like, what are these words?
Right.
Say
What are we talking
what?
about? I'm supposed to be
So
singing.
then they sent out something and they were like, we need, whoever wants to do the word of encouragement or spoken word, sign up. And I was recommending my friend to do the spoken word because I was like, girl, you were talented, do the spoken word. She's like, nah, I did it every year. You should do it. I was like, girl, nah, I ain't doing that. They reached out to me. I applied for word of encouragement. They were like, we already have like a word of encouragement, a person to do word of encouragement since like 1 year ago. But I heard you would be interested to do the spoken word. And I was like, oh, nah. I was like, who told y'all that? But long story short, stepping into that fear, that whole spoken word piece is about my testimony, about how God saved me, how he redeemed me even when I was a believer, when I still messed up, and how he kept me, and how he was the only answer and
Mm,
is the only answer ever. So yeah. And that is what I'll leave with.
I like that. I love the editing. I love your. Would you call that a poem or just?
Yes.
Okay, a poem.
Poem,
Okay, that's what I
spoken
thought.
word
Okay, I wasn't
poem.
sure. I didn't know if it was another name for it.
Yeah, it was my first time ever remembering and reciting one like without my paper. And so I was like, okay. So got to
Surprise
perform that
yourself.
at a yes. I was like, and during the thing I told God, I was like, allow me to just be in my peace. Allow me to really feel this because it's something that was true for me. And I literally just got emotional during it, everything. I was as soon as I like finished doing the piece and I look up, I'm like, there are so many people here. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, no. I was like, what the world? And it was just like an overwhelming feeling of just like God's goodness in that room. And so it was a blessing to be a part of it. And but yeah, doing spoken word. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Elana LeChay. Y'all make sure y'all check out her channel, Elana LeChay on YouTube, aka Humility with Elana LeChay. This is part 2 of our duo episode. This is Elana's story. Elana, thank you. You know it's always a pleasure to talk to you and get you on the channel. Of course, we're going to do more episodes later on down the line. But for the
Definitely.
meantime, guys, enjoy your Martin Luther the King Day. I hope y'all are off for today. I hope y'all enjoy y'all extended weekend today. Make sure you check out this episode on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast. Thank you again, Ilana. Love you guys.
Ciao.
God bless.